everyone, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Nikki Haverstock. I'm going to tell you all the stuff about what I write in this video. I've been on Authortube for about a month, specifically posting, writing, and publishing videos, and I finally found a good list for the Authortube newbie tag, and I thought I would go through and tell you everything about me. So the first one is, how did you find about Authortube? I've had a YouTube channel for 9 years actually, but only started posting 6 years ago. And I have focused on doing reality TV stuff, recaps, where my husband and I talk about shows. But I heard about Authortube specifically within the last 6 months when I went to a local writers group, and one of the members mentioned that she was part of Authortube, and I had never heard that phrase or that term. And so I kind of started looking into it. And during the quarantine, which we're right in the middle of, I wanted to talk to people, but I had gotten off Twitter and Facebook, and I actually can't get back on Facebook very much because our internet's so bad. So it was the perfect storm of an idea that had been kind of fermenting for a while, and me saying, I just really want the chance to talk to people and to hopefully give back to a community that has helped me so much, which is self-publishing. And everything I've learned, pretty much I've taken some classes and some books, but a majority of what I've learned about how to succeed in self-publishing is because people who knew more than me were willing to share that information for free. And so I just feel like it's the right thing in the world to pass on what I know to people if they want it. What genres do I write in? All my books, I have 14 books and I have 2 short stories. They are all cozy mysteries. So mystery means something happens and you spend the book solving the crime. In my case, they're murder mysteries in general. I think I have one story. I guess I technically have 3 short stories. I have a prequel that's only available if you sign up for my newsletter, and that one does not have, it has a theft as opposed to a murder mystery. But all of my books have a murder kind of at the beginning and they solve it. Cozy mystery is a subgenre that means no on-page sex, no excessive amount of gore, and usually an amateur sleuth. It's kind of like a murder mystery without, like, it's not a police procedural. Murder, She Wrote is a great example. Castle is not exactly, but it has that feel. They tend to be more fun, more funny. Stuff may happen that's really scary, but in general, you know that everything's gonna work out okay. And that is what I write it's pretty much the only thing I'm interested in writing. I love the structure of a mystery. And I would consider, if you were to give me a title, I would say that I'm a humor writer more so. I don't know if other people would feel that way, but it's incredibly important to me, and I find that the compliment of "you're so funny" is the greatest compliment in the world to me. So this is the genre that I felt is a really good fit for me. I have considered writing rom-coms, but in general, I'm really, really happy as a cozy mystery author. And within cozy mystery, I have a contemporary series, which is set in sort of the real world. I have we call them para-cozies or paranormal cozies. They're like urban fantasy, but a little bit funner and funnier and lighter. And then I have a sci-fi cozy. So I actually do, although all of mine are cozy mysteries, I do write across a couple of the speculative genres. Third question, what is my preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story, etc.? I write for an adult audience, although because they don't have on-screen sex, they don't have cursing, they don't have anything, I would say they do kind of sometimes have like sex jokes, but they're very much like 8 p.m. sitcom level of jokes. But I would say, you know, of course, it's going to be up to the particular family. Like sometimes I have like dick jokes, stuff like that. But nothing is too racy. This is all relative to the rest of my genre. It might have a couple of jokes, but I write in past tense. I don't even know if I could write in current tense, in present tense. And I write first person point of view. Cozy mysteries are about 50-50, first or third. I write first. I've only written in first. Maybe I'll wonder. I did write one book in third, but it was never published. And they're for an adult audience, although I always say they're fun for the whole family. Question 4, are you a plotter, pantser, or plantser, or any of those? I don't really worry about the labels too much because I think it's really rare that you, like, if you're a plotter and you have everything written out, but you can't possibly know every single thing. That's why, and then on the other end of the spectrum, I always go, really, you truly don't know anything? I would say I'm kind of right in the middle. There's some stuff I know. The analogy that I use, and it's such a beautiful picture, is sort of like if you were taking a long hike across, like you're going to Mordor, and there's hills and there's valleys and there's a thick layer of fog, and you see some points, like some mountaintop sticking up out of the clouds, but you can't see all of them. That's kind of how a lot of writing is. A lot of it's shrouded in mystery as I head in. It varies from book to book. I have my sci-fi mystery, which I actually have a video about. I knew a lot before I started writing, but I actually have been thinking of that book for almost 2 years when I started writing it. Other books, I've written books where I knew nothing and I had an outline next to me of the hero's journey, and I just kind of wrote whatever I felt and then would look at the hero's journey and be like, oh, it's time for this, and then I would put something in. So I've done, for me, sort of in the middle section, like if this is plotting and this is pantsing, I've done everything kind of in here. Super, super lined out and super, super, you know, whatever. So they're not terms that mean a lot to me. There's a lot of other terms that I think are more indicative of how I work. I have one of my strengths is intellection. If you're familiar with the Gallup poll, it just means that I tend to need a lot of time to think. I need to think about scenes and all that, and so a lot of my writing time is me up walking around, and I joke that when I have writer's block, I walk it off and I'm up to like 9 miles a day. But I will spend sometimes when I'm really struggling, and it's summer, which is my productive period, I will spend 3 times as long walking around the property as I will actually writing, because I need that time. I need to move and I need to think. So I traditionally published, self-published, yet to be published. I'm not traditionally published. I am self-published. I'm really happy with that decision. It is the only kind that has ever interested me. And I have 14 books and 2 shorts. Technically I have 8 novels, 6 novellas. They're longer novellas, but they're novellas. 2 short stories, all published, and I have 1 short story that is not published, that is only available to my newsletter. If you're interested in seeing it, you can go and you can click on the link below and sign up for my newsletter, and then you can grab a novella and or the short story, and then you can leave my newsletter. It doesn't matter to me. That's fine. That's totally fine, but you might want to stay in just to kind of see what authors put in their newsletter. What traditional company? I am currently, I am self-published. I have been in wide distribution, which means I'm available everywhere. I have been just in KU. My ebooks are only available in the Kindle Unlimited program. My paperbacks right now, I think, are only available on Amazon, but I don't sell very many. I have them just because if someone wants them, I want them to be able to buy them. But my audiobooks, which I am slowly rolling out, and I'm supposed to be proofing one right now, and I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna make a video instead because I hate proofing anything. It's like my least favorite job. It's and in my skill set, it is definitely super weak. My audiobooks, though, are available through the library system. Depending on which particular library system your library uses, you can usually request them. They're available through the Overdrive system, Hoopla, Biblioteca, a whole bunch of things like that. They're also available through Audible and Amazon and all that. So depending on, I don't have all my audiobooks done. I only have 4 out right now. What Authortube related videos do you expect to find on your channel? I'm still figuring that out. Obviously, I'm probably not going to have anything about traditional publishing. There's a number of great YouTubers who are already doing traditional publishing. So there's no need for me to try to do that. I don't know a lot about it. I know more about traditional publishing than Joe Schmo in the streets, because that is a valid part of my industry. But when we get into the nitty-gritty of what's best and how to get an agent and who to apply to, I say a mediocre amount. I know more than the person on the street. I don't know as much as an expert in the field. So I probably will not do that. I love self-publishing. I love marketing. I love genre research. I love, I'm really super passionate about productivity and being the best you. I have a master's in sports psych, which is very closely related. I shoot archery, which is like a 99% mental over physical, and almost everything I learned in that I've applied to my writing. I'm super interested in healthy, productive. I'm not a big part of the hustle guru, like let's work ourselves to death. That's cool. And let's destroy all of our relationships because that's how real people do it. So I always am looking for sustainable growth. Like what can you do to be at your peak productivity, maintain the relationships in your life that are important, take care of your physical and mental health, and then maintain that for 20, 30 years. Because I think that is a recipe for success, is that a plan that you can continue to live by and is adjustable enough to where we can move with it. I don't do it. I'm really interested in craft, but I don't consider myself to be an expert, but I do. I will talk about that a little bit. I'm still figuring out though what people that are on YouTube who are interested in what I have to do, where our interests intersect. So I'm still figuring that out. I don't know. So if you have any idea what you want to hear from me, let me know. When did I start writing? So I wrote a little bit as a kid, but let's say seriously as an adult, deciding that I wanted to be an author, I'm just like every other author, I love reading. I think every author, it would be weird if someone goes, oh, I hate reading. Now, maybe you have learning disabilities that made it more difficult, this or that. But I mean, in general, I loved reading, but I think most authors do. 6 years ago, almost to the day, is when I had a conversation with a friend who was a very successful self-publisher. I knew her through glass blowing, which is another hobby of mine. Technically lamp working, so if you know anything about glass, that should give you more information, but most people don't know what that is. So I'll say it's like teeny tiny glass blowing without a big kiln. You use a little torch. Anyway, and she explained to me that, yeah, anybody can learn to write. Now, duh, I should have known that, but I kind of thought that I had missed my window and all that, and I had we were having fertility problems. We had a miscarriage. I had this really traumatic thing. My father-in-law, my beloved father-in-law, who we were all so close with, was diagnosed with cancer. It was just a mess. And I decided that if I wasn't going to be able, ooh, get a little emotional. If I lost this pregnancy, it was a really complicated medical thing. I decided that I wanted to do something for me. And so I threw myself into a project. I love learning new things. I love jumping feet first into a project. And I just threw myself fully into this. Let's learn about reading, about writing and publishing and all that. And so I did that. So that was 6 years ago. The next question is, what was the first story you wrote? So this is kind of a little different, which is the very first story I wrote was Nikki and the Magic Unicorn. I wrote it in 3rd grade. It was like a little girl named Nikki fell through a tree and met a magical unicorn, and they went on an adventure together, and then and there you go. And I read it for a school talent show. I think it's the only thing of any real import for fiction writing that I wrote up until I wrote a cowboy romance 6 years ago. And I tried it with a sex scene and decided I'm not that kind of writer. That is not my jam. I didn't want to do that. And it was in 3rd person, and I didn't necessarily like that so much. And when I got to the end of it and I discovered how much work it needed to be, I discovered I love a romance subplot, but for me, the mystery should be in the front and the romance subplot should be a subplot. And then that's when I started with Death on the Range, which is my first published book. It's actually a novella. And it'll be 5 years this August. There's that. What authors have inspired your writing the most? I mean, when I was a kid, I read J.R.R. Tolkien, I read C.S. Lewis, I probably read the Chronicles of Narnia every year for like 6 years. Let's see, I read David Edding, Piers Anthony. I read a ton when I was a kid. I think his name was not Gary Larson, Gary Richmond, I think. He worked at a zoo and he wrote these books. But as an adult, closer to what actually inspires my genre now would probably be Janet Ivanovich. She does 1 for the money, 2 for the show. It is 3 to get ready, 4 to dough, or I don't know. But she has this numbered series. They are considered to be cozy mysteries, although they're a little sexier than most of the genre. She is not exactly an amateur sleuth because she's a bounty hunter. But I would say that's really close to what I write. Jennifer Cruzy has a 2-book duology called Welcome to Temptation and Faking It, I think it's called. Doesn't sound right. I think they're right behind me. That's so weird. All of a sudden it doesn't sound right, but I think it's called Faking It. But anyway, she has these books, these immense books. They're written from multiple points of view. They're a romance, but they're also a mystery, and there's all these intertwining storylines that all come together in this massive moment of like zany madcap, and I love those. For some self-published authors, Jana De Leon writes the Misfortune series, which is definitely a cozy mystery. She's incredibly successful. She's super hard worker. Amanda Lee and Kristen Painter are all self-published authors who are publishing right now, whose careers I kind of look like. All of them were serious writers for a long time. These were not people who had one book and took off. They had a serious career for a long time and built up this empire. And I do say empire. I believe all 3 of them are 7-figure authors, although whatever they're making is enough. But they are people that I really respect and look up to. Do you schedule your writing sessions or simply write whenever you can? Both. When we're not in quarantine, I have some pockets that I really, my son goes to preschool. When my son is at preschool, my husband gets his 100%. My husband and I watch the baby throughout the day so I can write so that he can get some him time. But when the baby's at preschool, that's like dedicated writing time. Gotta get as much done. Gotta record audio, whatever, because it's quiet in the house. Since we're in quarantine right now, it is absolute chaos. My husband and I try to schedule it out. What if, you know, we get up, we have animals, so chores to take care of the animals can take any certain amount of time, and then there's things like if the horse's water is frozen, I've got to like go chip it out and stuff. So I do a little bit, if I have something really important, like this summer I have a writing conference, which was going to be in person and they canceled it. But if I have things, I'll put them on the calendar, and so my husband, and we are very good about reserving that time. I would say we're really good, but about like, oh, you need to write, okay, I can do that. But, you know, if well, you know, too, just being in quarantine or out of quarantine, having young kids and we have 4 people in the house. We have my mother-in-law who lives with us, my husband, myself, and my toddler. Everybody's got their own unique needs, and if somebody gets sick, the whole schedule has to shift. So I don't know how to answer that question. I guess a little bit of both. I take Sundays off for both religious reasons and then for family health reasons. I usually turn off my computer Saturday night and turn it on Monday morning so that I don't work. And that is just to maintain a day that is just driven by family. And there's no temptation to go upstairs. That is something that works really well for us. I also have a 5 p.m. off deadline. That can change around deadlines when I'm on a roll, but we try to maintain that so that otherwise your work just spreads out over the whole week and it can be a little bit nuts. Do you type on a computer, handwrite, blah, blah? I have to type everything. When I was in college, I had terrible tendonitis. I didn't know what it was. I got this pain in my hands. And I ignored it and just took a ton of Advil, which I actually found out years later that I was not dosing correctly. And so I was like I'm lucky my liver didn't bleed out or something because I was taking way too much Advil. And it got to a point to where I couldn't do that anymore. I had this shooting pain, and I was diagnosed. I was on steroids for a long time. I had to take I did fail a class that semester, and I got several incompletes by the skin of my teeth. It took me so long to deal with because I just didn't know a lot about what was going on. So I didn't know that when this started, I should have gone and gotten a student temporary disability pass. Anyway, point being that I'm really susceptible to it. So I cannot handwrite for any particular, I can jot down notes, I can do whatever, but I cannot handwrite for any extended period of time without getting hand cramps, and I get these shooting pains in between your knuckles, which you're not supposed to get. That is a sign that you're irritating the tendons and stuff. So I do everything on my typewriter. I don't have any problem typing. Although I do have to keep my nails short. You can see these are really short. I snapped them off this week. But I have to keep my nails short because, you can't see it. Maybe you can. I have typed all the letters off on my keyboard. It is time for a new computer. But yeah, I do everything by hand. Occasionally I'll jot, but I've moved mostly to the computer. And last one, what are you most looking forward to now that you're part of Authortube? I just want to help. I just want to, when I was on Facebook, I used to be a part of a large number of writers groups, and I would try to be encouraging. I would try to be helpful. I met people every day who were losing a lot of money, and I'm like, you know, that's got to be really frustrating. Let me do what I can. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who, and you hear this in anything, they're really frustrated, they're angry. Why will no one help you? Why will no one help me? You offer help, they ignore it. No, I already know what I'm doing. I tried that. I don't want that. My covers are fine. I don't need an editor. No, I insist this is the right genre, even though it's not meeting genre expectations. And so I thought, and it drove me nuts, and it was really frustrating. So I thought, well, maybe if I do video and I can just put it out there, maybe it'll find the right audience. Maybe I'll find people who don't already have a community. And it's just really healthy for me, I think, to try to help. Do I know everything? No. Did a lot of really, 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 really smart people give me free advice when I needed it? Yes. So I just feel like it's the right thing in the world to do what I can to pass on that information, to assure you that it is a lot of work, but it is doable work. You don't have to do it all right this second. You can learn a little bit at a time. And I'm hoping that when I looked at a lot of YouTube videos, there are a lot of great YouTubers, but I still feel like my point of view is useful and might be encouraging to someone. So that's me. That's my Authortube YouTube newbie tag, and I would love to meet more new YouTubers. I obviously see the people with, you know, tens of thousands of subscribers, and I'm trying to find, but I try to specifically find videos that are with people who only have like 100 subscribers or 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers, people who haven't yet have this huge following, and follow them and encourage them. And you know, maybe some of them will encourage me, but I just want to encourage them because I think it's really, I think it's good to not just reach out to the people who already have a huge community, but to find people who are looking for community, and you can be each other's community. So anyway, have a good day. Stay safe.